Greetings, family, friends, and survivors. Okay, rule number one, if you're going to try wind power, go big or go home. I don't have enough wind here at this area at a feasible height for me. And I put this one up at about 20 feet, and it barely produced enough power to keep it from going into the negative, running its own charge controller. So I got an old school one with a wood prop. Man, does that thing put out 4 times the power this thing does. And it's just a single blade wood prop, brush type. So outperformed the PMA, it's not even worth mentioning. But that said, there's still not enough wind with me unless I go up around 110 feet. So, rule number one with wind, go big or go home. Rule number two is solar. Think ahead. I never imagined that I'd have more than the 1200 watt system. I didn't really know that we could live in the Pacific Northwest with a 1200 watt system. So I never planned on more than just that wall, just like you see it. That was the original. And then we added 200 more watts. That was 1400 watts. But did it stop there? No, and it won't stop there with you either. So if I had looked forward to being bit by the solar bug and planned ahead, I probably would have had this little closet here twice this size. So now what I'm faced with is moving these batteries that are still good and drilling a hole through the wall and running these cables out here. I have to wait for cooler weather because this room gets hot even though it's ventilated. Put the batteries here while I completely redo this wall. So to do it right, all of that comes off, and I'll take all of this and move it forward, and then I'll take some pine or fir 1x and go ahead and sheet this whole wall, panel that whole wall with pine. And this side over here is fir, so I might as well panel that all the way down to the floor. The back is already done. So that's a lot of work. How to keep things going while I'm doing it. It would be fairly easy to, right now this time of year, is to just go ahead and run on this array and this array, put the batteries in the other room, and then go to work in here and just hook it up temporarily on 2 arrays. It's difficult to try to use all 3 arrays, but the truth is this time of year I only need about 1,000 watts of solar. I don't need 5,000 watts of solar. So yeah, if I had thought ahead, it would have made a major difference. So when it's interesting how we started it. I sold my sports car to get off grid, and then I sold a couple of guns and a bunch of ammunition that were just sitting in the gun safe, and doubled my battery bank. And then we liquidated some other assets, and I added more solar and a new inverter. And I don't think there's any reason to do anything now than convert it to lithium and be done. So if I'm going to be done, then you might as well do it the way you want it, which would be put everything in conduit, have all the solar on this wall and all the batteries on that wall, which there would be room on that wall for I think 8. I think there's room for 8 batteries on that wall, and that would leave us with 24 kilowatts, and more than we could ever need. So that leaves me with these critters. Our thought was to go ahead and put the water system, the irrigation system, off grid. We're pumping out of the pond, and right now we pump out of the pond to water the log deck, and that's problematic. There isn't a solar system available that I know of that would run a sprinkler for a log deck 24/7. But having a system sitting there that was capable of doing it and a grid down, long-term grid down, it might be nice. We just obviously would sacrifice the log deck, and we'd want to pump enough water to keep the gardens going. That's pretty important. So getting garden water off grid is the next step. And so those batteries might be healthy enough to do that in an emergency. They've got a lot of life left in them. They're acting normally. There's no way really to gauge accurately their capacity other than they're acting like they always did. But I'm sure that their capacity is down quite a bit. So, part 1. Help! Have a blessed day.